My fiancée slept with her boss after I paid for her degree, so I sent the receipts to HR, took back my stuff, and blocked everyone. I'm a 29-year-old guy who used to believe that love was about building, not borrowing. That if you truly cared for someone, you didn't just say it. You showed up, put in the work, made sacrifices. That's how I was raised anyway. My mom worked night shifts cleaning offices. My dad did factory work until his back gave out. We didn't have much, but we valued loyalty. If someone gave you their heart, you protected it with yours. I met Harper when I was 25. She was 23, working part-time at a bookstore and finishing her last year of undergrad. The first time we talked, she told me she wanted to get her master's in marketing but didn't think she'd ever afford it. "I feel stuck," she said, brushing her bangs out of her eyes. "Like I'm made for more, but life won't let me catch up." Something about the way she said it, half fire, half defeat, hit me. I knew that look. I'd seen it in the mirror 100 times before I got my first real job in IT after community college. I remember thinking, she just needs someone to believe in her the way no one believed in me. Our relationship moved fast, but not recklessly. We budgeted together, cooked together, dreamed together. I told her, "One day we'll have our own house, 2 incomes, no debt." She'd smile and say, "You're the first person who makes me feel like I'm not a burden." It felt like partnership, like I'd found someone who understood the grind, who would never forget the sacrifices we were making now. Looking back, I think I confused potential with character. And maybe, just maybe, I should have paid more attention to what she did when things started going right, because things were about to go really right for her and very wrong for me. When Harper told me she wanted to go for her master's degree, I didn't even hesitate. She sat across from me at our tiny kitchen table, chewing on her lip as she said, "If I can just get this degree, I can finally get out of dead-end jobs. I can make something of myself." I remember smiling, taking her hand and saying, "Then let's do it. We'll figure it out." She blinked, surprised. "You mean, you'd help me pay for it?" "Of course," I said. "We're a team, right?" And that was it. From that moment, every extra shift I took, every freelance project, every missed night out, it was all for us. I paid her tuition, covered rent, groceries, even her bus pass. She'd hug me after every payment went through, whispering, "Once I graduate, it's your turn to chase your dream." That promise became my fuel. Our friends called us the power couple. They'd say things like, "You two are the real deal," or "You're investing in her future. She's lucky." I believed them. I believed her. I thought we were building something solid, brick by brick, but somewhere along the way, things shifted. Harper started dressing differently. Blazers, heels, expensive perfume. She said it was to look professional for her classes. She'd come home late, saying she was at study groups or networking. Her hugs became shorter. Her phone more guarded. When I asked if everything was okay, she'd sigh and say, "It's just stress, babe. Grad school's intense. Don't take it personally." So I didn't. I kept working, kept paying, kept believing. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You push through the hard parts. I didn't realize it then, but the hard parts weren't what was breaking us. It was what she was becoming when things got easy. Harper graduated with honors. I remember standing in the back of that auditorium, clapping like an idiot, my throat tight with pride. When they called her name and she crossed the stage, she looked straight ahead, determined, polished, almost different. I told myself it was just the glow of achievement. Afterward, I took her out to dinner. Nothing fancy, just a quiet little Italian place we used to love. I had a card, a small gift, and I even arranged for her favorite dessert to be brought out with a candle. But halfway through the meal, she checked her phone 3 times and barely touched her food. "I can't really celebrate tonight," she said, sliding her fork around the plate. "Mr. Gray wants me in early tomorrow. He said I have potential." Mr. Gray. That name kept popping up lately. He was the senior executive at the marketing firm where she'd landed a competitive internship. Harper called him brilliant, visionary, and once even, the kind of mentor I've never had. At first, I felt proud. She was making moves. This was what all those long nights and drained bank accounts were for. But the late nights got later. Study groups turned into client dinners. And when I asked if she wanted to do something special the weekend after graduation, she blinked and said, "You're being clingy. I'm trying to build a career." That one hit me like a slap. I told myself she didn't mean it. That she was tired, overwhelmed, maybe even afraid of success. Our friends started asking, "Is everything okay with you too?" They noticed she never showed up to gatherings anymore, that she stopped tagging me in photos. "She's just focused," I'd say, brushing it off. But even I could feel it. The space between us wasn't just growing, it was filling up with someone else. The red flags didn't appear all at once. They crept in slowly, like mold behind drywall. It started with her phone. I noticed she began keeping it face down all the time. Then came the late-night vibrations, texts from numbers that didn't have names. When I asked who it was, she shrugged. "Just work stuff. I'm juggling a lot of projects." Then came the perfume. I'd come home from my shift and the apartment would still carry that sharp, musky scent she never wore around me. When I mentioned it, she laughed. "It's just one I got from a coworker. You wouldn't like it." But the one that finally pierced my chest was the second phone. I found it by accident. She'd left her tote bag open on the couch. When I went to grab my charger from it, I saw a phone I didn't recognize. Sleek, spotless, new. When I picked it up, it lit up with a message. "Still thinking about earlier. You're incredible." I stood there frozen, heart pounding. She walked in from the shower, saw me holding it, and instantly snatched it. "It's a company phone," she snapped, wrapping a towel tighter. "Don't go through my stuff." That's toxic behavior. I wanted to believe her. I needed to. So I told myself I was being paranoid. A week later, I decided to surprise her. I picked up her favorite Thai food and drove to her office around 8 p.m. The receptionist looked startled when I asked for Harper. "Oh, she left hours ago," she said. "She and Mr. Gray had off-site meetings tonight." I drove home in silence, food untouched. Around midnight, I watched her walk up to our apartment, heels in hand, laughing into that second phone. "Where were you?" I asked softly. She rolled her eyes. "You're suffocating me." And for the first time, I started suffocating on the truth. I was at work when it happened. Just another Thursday, eyes glazed from back-to-back Zoom calls when my phone buzzed with a message from a coworker. "Hey man, this you?" Attached were 2 screenshots. The first was a blurry photo taken in the lobby of a high-end hotel downtown. Harper and Mr. Gray, arm in arm, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. The second was sharper. Same hotel, different angle, both of them walking toward the elevator, her hand on his chest. Caption: spotted during their business retreat. I stared at the images for a full minute before my brain even accepted what my eyes were seeing. My stomach dropped. My hands shook. I left work early, called in some excuse about a migraine. When she came home that night, I didn't yell. I didn't throw the photos in her face. I just held up my phone and asked, "Were you ever going to tell me?" She looked at the screen, then at me. Expression flat, unreadable. "Tell you what?" I tilted the phone again. "That you've been sleeping with him." A beat of silence. And then, without blinking, she said, "You wouldn't understand. This is how the world works. No apology. No shame. Just cold logic." I felt something inside me crack. She went on, voice low but sharp. "You act like I owe you something because you paid for school. Like I'm some project you rescued. Do you know how small that made me feel? Like a charity case you expected loyalty from. It wasn't even betrayal anymore. It was dissection. There was no screaming, no storm. Just silence, as I grabbed my keys, walked out of the apartment and sat in my car until the numbness took over. Because the woman I had loved was gone. Or maybe she was never really there to begin with. The days after the confrontation felt like static. I couldn't think straight, couldn't eat, couldn't even hate her properly. Everything I'd built my life around, every late night, every dollar I'd poured into our future, suddenly meant nothing. I crashed at my friend Ben's place. on his spare mattress wedged between boxes of old gaming consoles and laundry baskets. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and said, "Stay as long as you need." I thought I'd only be there a week. It turned into a month. I went through the motions at work, barely functioning. My inbox overflowed. I ignored it. My boss called me in, asked if I was handling personal issues. I mumbled something about burnout. Truth was, I'd burned everything: savings, energy, trust. Every time I tried to sleep, my brain looped through old moments: her graduation day, her smile, the way she used to say, "We'll get through anything." It was like watching reruns of a show I once loved, knowing how horribly it ended. Eventually, I had to go back just to get my stuff. The thought alone made me nauseous, but I couldn't keep living out of a duffel bag. When I walked into the apartment, it didn't even smell like home anymore. The air felt foreign. My things were stacked neatly in boxes near the door, labeled "his stuff" in her handwriting. The walls looked different. New decor, a vase I'd never seen before. There was a man's jacket on the chair. I heard movement from the bedroom. Then her voice, casual, almost businesslike. "Oh, hey, I thought you'd text first. Mr. Gray's been staying here for a while. It's just temporary. For convenience." I didn't say a word. I just stood there, staring at the boxes that once held my dreams, now reduced to his stuff. That was the moment I realized I hadn't just lost her. I'd lost myself. I wasn't sleeping much, just lying in Ben's spare room most nights, staring at the ceiling while my brain chewed itself alive. The shame, the stupidity, the way I let someone build a future on my back, only to get shoved off the scaffolding once it was finished. One night, I got up and opened my laptop, not even sure why. Maybe I wanted to remind myself it hadn't all been a dream. I started scrolling through old folders, bank statements, PDFs, tuition invoices, payment receipts, and there it was. Every transfer, every email confirmation, every record that proved I'd paid for her education in full. Her master's degree had my fingerprints all over it. Tuition paid from my account, rent covered from my paychecks. And that's when it hit me. She didn't just betray me emotionally, she leveraged me financially, used me like a stepping stone, and then wiped the mud off her heels before walking into someone else's penthouse. But if she treated our relationship like a transaction, maybe I should too. I opened a new folder on my desktop, labeled it in bold, all caps, receipts. Inside it, I started dropping everything: invoices, screenshots, text messages where she promised, "Once I graduate, we'll build your dream next." Photos of us budgeting together. Calendars of class payments, all dated, all traceable. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt focused, like pain had sharpened into something colder, cleaner. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to show the world exactly who she'd become, using nothing but the truth, and the receipts to prove it. I've always been good at solving problems. It's what I do in IT, find the cracks in a system and expose them. So I applied the same logic to what Harper and Mr. Gray had done to me. First, I looked into the company where she interned: public-facing website, careers page, fine print on contracts. Took me 15 minutes to find the internship policy PDF. Buried in the text was a clause: interns are strictly prohibited from engaging in non-professional or romantic conduct with direct supervisors. Violations may result in immediate termination. Then I found Mr. Gray's profile on LinkedIn. Scrolling down, there it was: married, father of 2, speaker at corporate ethics seminars. The irony hit like a brick, so I dug deeper. I matched Harper's business trip dates with public company event schedules. Found hotel confirmations in her email history. She never logged out of the shared iPad. Screenshots of her saying, "Gray got me a room with a view." I cross-referenced that with photos from her Instagram. Cocktails, sunsets, expensive dinners. I started piecing everything together like a puzzle. Each timestamp, each message, each travel itinerary was a tile in the mosaic of their betrayal. But I didn't stop there. I went back to our messages from the past 2 years, her saying things like, "Once I graduate, we'll get your startup off the ground. Or, I'd never be where I am without you. It wasn't just romantic. It was contractual in spirit, an emotional loan disguised as love. I compiled it all. Labeled, dated, formatted cleanly. I wasn't being petty. I wasn't being cruel. I was documenting the truth, because this wasn't revenge. It was accountability, for both of them. And I wasn't done yet. I was one day away from sending the folder when Harper showed up at Ben's apartment. It was a Saturday evening. I was elbows deep organizing the evidence, everything neatly sorted and time-stamped, when the doorbell rang. Ben peeked out the window, turned to me, and said, "Dude, it's her." She looked like a ghost of herself. Makeup streaked, hoodie too big, trembling like she hadn't slept. "Please," she whispered as soon as I opened the door. "I just need to talk." I let her in. Not because I wanted to, but because I wanted to hear it. Whatever lies or truths she had left. She curled up on the edge of the couch like a child, wiping her face. "He dumped me," she said, voice cracking. Gray said it was getting too messy. HR got wind of it. Someone reported us. Her eyes searched mine, desperate. "You're the only one who ever truly cared." I was stupid. I threw away everything real. "Please, I just want to fix it." And for a second, just a second, I felt something soften. Not for her, but for the version of us that used to exist. Then she kept talking. I can't afford to lose everything right now. My references, my job, my career, that was it, the slip, the tell. She hadn't come back for me. She'd come back because her safety net snapped, and now she needed the backup plan. I leaned back, folded my arms, and said calmly, "Then I think you should go." Her face twisted in confusion. "Wait, that's it?" "That's it," I said. "You don't get to fail upward anymore." She stood slowly, muttering something about everyone turning on her. I didn't respond. I didn't have to, because for the first time in this entire mess, the next move wasn't hers. It was mine. I didn't rush it. That Monday, I went to a quiet cafe, opened my laptop, and crafted the most professional, detailed report I'd ever written. Except this time, it wasn't for IT tickets or system bugs. It was for two people who thought no one would ever hold them accountable. The email was anonymous. A burner account. No signature. Just facts. Attached were 23 files. Screenshots of hotel confirmations, social media timestamps, photos from her Instagram that matched company offsite retreats, a breakdown of their messages. A timeline that lined up precisely with her internship dates. I included excerpts from the company's own HR policies, highlighted in yellow. The subject line was simple. "Intern supervisor violation. Formal documentation attached." I hit send, closed the laptop, and let the silence do the rest. Within 48 hours, it started. Ben showed me a leaked internal memo circulating on LinkedIn. An executive has been placed under review pending an internal investigation. Mr. Gray's name wasn't in the post, but his photo was removed. From the leadership page the next morning, Harper's LinkedIn profile went private the day after. 2 more days passed, and her number popped up on my phone. Once, then again, different number. Then her sister, then a fake account messaged me on Instagram. "Please talk to her." I didn't reply. I'd already blocked them all. Instead, I went back to the apartment one last time with Ben in a rented van. I didn't take much, just what was mine. My desk, my laptop, the armchair I loved, and the painting we bought on our first anniversary trip. I left the rest. Not because I didn't want it, but because I wanted out. And reclaiming what I gave, that was enough. It didn't take long. A week after I sent the report, Harper's name was quietly scrubbed from the company's intern page. Then came the whisper posts, anonymous comments on professional forums. Intern let go for ethics breach. Rumors about a senior exec. Then, the real bomb. Mr. Gray's wife filed for divorce. Publicly, loudly. Her statement said she'd been informed of a long-standing affair with a subordinate. It made headlines in their industry circles. The man who once lectured on ethics and leadership was now the center of scandal. I didn't feel joy. I felt clarity. People who once praised Harper for being driven and charismatic started pulling away. Friends who had once told me I was lucky to have her now posted carefully worded captions under her vague, self-pitying stories. Sometimes people betray you to teach you strength. Growth requires pain, even if others don't understand. She tried to spin the narrative, but the truth had already soaked through. I stayed silent. No subtweets, no posts, just silence. I went back to work, got serious about therapy. Started freelancing again to rebuild my savings. My boss, who I'd nearly ghosted during the worst of it, called me in and said, "You're sharper than I've seen you in months. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." I nodded, because for the first time in years, my life wasn't orbiting someone else's needs. It was mine. There was no big confrontation, no screaming match, no final showdown. Just a quiet, undeniable shift in power. I didn't win with rage. I won with restraint, and honestly, that felt better than revenge ever could. It's been a year. I live in a new city now, one with real seasons, quieter streets, and no memories waiting around every corner. I got promoted a few months back, leading a team instead of just fixing their problems. It's challenging, but it feels good. Like I'm finally building something for me. I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, and I move slow now. Not out of fear, but because I understand things better. I ask different questions. I listen harder. And I watch for the signs I once ignored. Then last week, it happened. An email. From her. Subject line. I've been meaning to say this. I stared at it for a moment. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I felt still. I opened the preview window just enough to read the first and last line. The first. I'm sorry for everything I put you through. The last, I hope you can forgive me someday. I didn't click it, didn't scroll, just hovered over the trash icon and clicked delete. It felt lighter than I expected, like letting go of a backpack I forgot I was still wearing. Some people chase revenge. Others beg for closure. I didn't need either, because peace, real peace, doesn't come when they apologize. It comes when you stop needing them to. I used to think love was about saving someone, lifting them up, covering their gaps, pouring from your own cup until they were full. But that's not love. That's sacrifice without return. Real love is two people growing, side by side, not one climbing while the other gets stepped on. The moment I stopped carrying her weight, I started rising, and that was the ending I never knew I deserved.